Колеги, ми продовжуємо робочий день і до слова запрошується.
I give the floor to the spokesperson of the administration of the President of Ukraine on the issues of anti-terrorist operation, Colonel Andriy Lysenko. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. So now the information about southern western outskirts of Donetsk. At 3 a.m., the enemy started to massively shell our positions in the vicinity of Marinka and Krasnohorivka, including from heavy weapons, tanks, mortars, artillery, and they try to move forward. The Ukrainian military are repelling all the attacks, and the situation is under control. Marinka and Krasnohorivka are under our control. In Mariupol sector, the active combat action yesterday took place in Shirokino and Chernenko. Apart from small firearms, the enemy used 82mm and 120mm mortars. The anti-terrorist operation forces are successfully holding their positions. In Donetsk sector, the most disturbing situation was in the vicinity of Svetlodarsk, where the enemy was firing excessively from artillery. Also in the vicinity of Vesela Dolina village, there was a combat clash between gunmen and anti-terrorist operation forces. Besides, combat action was taking place in the western suburbs of Gorlivka and to the south of Donetsk. In Luhansk sector, the enemy has perpetrated a series of armed provocations next to settlement Zolote, next to Bakhmutka highway and the city of Shastya. According to the State Border Service, yesterday there was a record number of flights of enemy drones, 38 per one day. Over the last 24 hours, as a result of combat clash action, luckily there are no dead among the Ukrainian military, and 3 Ukrainian servicemen were wounded. As a result of shellings by the gunmen, the Ukrainian side has temporarily suspended crossing through the demarcation line through road checkpoints Gnutovo and Bugas, which was done to protect the lives and health of civilian people. The Ukrainian special services are finding new proofs of Russia's participation in the military conflict in Donbass. The Ukrainian Security Service, together with prosecutor's office, have detained 3 people who were recruited by the special services of Russian Federation. They gone through training in a special reconnaissance intelligence camp on the territory of Krasnodar area, and they had a task to perform terrorist acts in Kharkiv region. They are being suspected in taking part in perpetrating 9 crimes, a sniper rifle and jet-propelled flamethrower, also submachine guns and pistols and explosives were confiscated from them. Also, a sniper's rifle Vintorez was confiscated from the gunmen, and this is a weapon of elite Russian military units. Another Vintorez was confiscated from Russian military from the 3rd Brigade of Special Designation in Shastya. In Luhansk region, a diesel locomotive was detained, which the criminals tried to get to Russia according to falsified documents.
The money for this diesel locomotive were to be transferred to the company Lugansk Teplovoz, which is now owned by Russian corporation and has not been registered on the territory which is under the control of Ukrainian authorities. The trainings of Ukrainian paratroopers continue. Most of the tasks are executed at night in conditions which are close to battle conditions. The units of the paratroopers were also participating in this training. Also, they were training in landing of the combat vehicles and artillery armaments from Il-76 airplanes. We would like to add that at all the trainings, the military meditions were present. Our deminers continue to demine the explosives in ATO zone. The specialists from the Center of Demining work. In many cases, the military come to help the peaceful farmers who ask Ukrainian servicemen to demine the fields for safe work. The rotation of Ukrainian servicemen continues in ATO zone. The militiamen who for a month were ensuring the order in this zone of ATO were met by colleagues and friends, and the courageous guys transferred their military posts to their colleagues who came to replace them. The unit returned back home without any losses. The humanitarian assistance continues to come to the east of Ukraine via the control post in Novodarsk district of Lugansk region. 3 trucks with humanitarian assistance from International Red Cross arrived. The trucks have 20 tons of food products for the citizens of Lugansk region. If you have any questions, you're welcome. 1+1 channel. There is a question today. There was an attack on Marinka and about 30 Ukrainian servicemen were wounded. You mentioned that, but did not mention the number of wounded. You also mentioned the Gnutova, Bugas and other Shirokina settlements. We, from our point of view, the point of view of journalists, and that's our subjective point of view, we believe that this is a big attack that, or offense that started. Do you believe that this is the offense that started? Basically, we register combat clashes every night, every day. We saw the activity of the militants at night, especially what's happening today, especially at night in the Donetsk direction, could be considered to be an attempt to offend, but this offense and this attack is taking place not on a wide section of the front line, so we cannot say that this is a large-scale beginning of the offense of the enemy. But you don't know the reason to that. The situation is not the regular situation. There are people wounded, but thank God, during the last 24 hours, not a single of our servicemen was killed. But we expect to get some other news with the beginning of these actions. We continue that this will not expand and will not continue, but maybe the beginning of negotiations in Minsk is the reason for that. We do not know the plans and why the militants are doing that. We understand that if this started to be more active, that means that there was a signal given from Moscow, especially because it was announced which issues will be considered at the meeting of G7. We don't have any more information on that. Irina Zayets, 112 TV channel.
37th Battalion from Zaporizhia. Do you know that last Friday the Ministry of Defense made them redeploy in the field next to the city Tokmak, because there's allegation that 8 million hryvnia for this brigade was stolen. So my question is, why they've been redeployed? You said both battalion and brigade, but what are you talking about? 37th Battalion, Zaporizhia. As a rule, the orders about redeployment take place almost every day, and not only this battalion changed the place of their location. This is not a singular case. And you know, when the military are redeployed, they do not pay in cash. This is going through the accounts of the Ministry of Defense. But you know, the money was channeled for the guys to get accommodated, and now they only they live in the field under the open sky. You know, this does not happen this way, that, for instance, the Ministry of Defense has allocated money and it just disappeared. Where did you get this information from? The fighters told me so. I'll tell you that fighters do not have information on how much money is being allocated for their upkeep. This is the information for staff officers who are either on in services of accommodation or food provision or material provision, but sergeants or privates do not have this information. You should check it first, and by all means. Another question about Marinka and Krasnohorivka. If this massive offensive goes on, then how the Ukrainian armed forces are able to keep the line of the front line? If the pressure increases, then of course reserves will be redeployed there, and there will be an adequate answer and response. There will be fire cover and additional units in order to retain the positions. Fifth channel, but there's been information already that the reinforcements were sent there. Who is defending Marinka at the moment? I'm not ready to answer. I don't have this information. Is there a general figure about the number of violations of ceasefire by the enemy over the last 24 hours? And is there a precise figure for the number of wounded in Marinka? No, we don't have this information. Last day, one night, almost 40 people were wounded in Marinka and Krasnohorivka.
Shellings.
There were almost 40 shellings in Marinka and Krasnohorivka. And you know, if there is a part of defense, it is not necessarily that just one unit is responsible for holding it. There are additional units. You cannot say that just one unit holds the defense there. The briefing is over, and our next briefing is at 1:30.